My name is Sydney Levy, and this is my Critical Literacy Book Talk. For my presentation, I used My Shadow is Pink, which is written and illustrated by Scott Stuart. So this book was published in August of 2020 by Larkin House, so the book is really new. I actually found out about this book on TikTok. I'm on Teacher TikTok, and I was really excited, and I asked my school to order it for me, and I love it. This book deals with the themes of diversity, acceptance, and gender identity. And our main character is a young boy who is questioning his gender expression. So it follows the story of a young boy, and he feels different because he doesn't enjoy typical boy activities. He eventually learns to accept his uniqueness with the support of his father. And this book is actually written based off of Scott Stewart's real experience as a father, having a gender nonconforming son. So it's a very personal book to him, and you can really see that in the story. It's really cute, it's really meaningful, and I like it a lot. Oh, and right here is the ISBN number. So here's my read aloud. This is My Shadow is Pink, illustrated and written by Scott Stuart. My dad has a shadow that's blue as can be, and there's nothing but blue in my whole family tree. But mine is quite different. It's not what you think, for mine is not blue. My shadow is pink. My shadow loves ponies and books and pink toys, princesses and fairies, and things not for boys. But there's one thing it likes most I have found. It loves wearing dresses and dancing around. It spins and it sparkles and it twirls through the air, then stops as my dad walks in with a stare. It will turn blue one of these days. Don't worry, he says. It's just a phase. My dad's shadow is blue and it's big and it's strong. But when I stand with it, I just feel so wrong. I wish mine was blue like all of the others. I wish mine was blue like my dad's and my brother's. I'd be part of a group, of that there's no doubt, but I cannot fit in when my shadow stands out. Now things are all changing, and that is not cool. I'm ready to start my first day of school. You will need pencils and books, and lunch you must bring. Dress up with your shadow in its favorite thing. My heart skips a beat as I put on my dress. I look at my dad, who is anxious and stressed. He takes me to class, and I turn to say bye. His face is all worried, and there's fear in his eyes. So I step in the doorway and puff out my chest. One thing is clear, I am not like the rest. I try to say hi, but my voice is too quiet. All the kids turn around, and the room, it goes silent. I run out the door and I push past my dad. I run to my house feeling angry and sad. If my shadow was blue, I'd be there making friends. I'd be laughing and playing and drawing with pens. I rip off my dress and I throw it down to the floor. I won't wear it again, not ever, no more. Then, just at my door came a soft little knock. It is my dad walking in, and I look up in shock. Both he and his shadow in dresses they stood, with shimmering seams and pink sparkling hoods. He speaks in a voice that is quiet, soft, but stern. Pick up that dress. You must listen and learn. Your shadow is pink. Now I see that it's true. It is not just your shadow, it's your innermost you. He showed me the photos of parents and brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles and others. We've all had a shadow that's hidden from eyes. Sometimes our shadow, it lives in disguise. His shadow loves painting and fashion and art. Her shadow loves engines and powerful cars. His shadow loves to dance as it turns and it twirls. Her shadow, she hides it because her shadow likes girls. Her shadow loves theater and acting and plays. And her shadow loves science and planets and space. Your shadow is you, and pink it will be. So stand up with your shadow and yell, "This is me!" And some they will love you, and some they will not. But those that do love you, they will love you a lot. So put on that dress and get back to school. If someone won't like you, then they are a fool. My heart nearly burst, and my shadow, it soared. I picked up my dress, and I wore it once more. We ran out the door, this time holding hands. My dad and our shadows, together we stand. I stride in my class, and I puff out my chest. I may be different, but different is best. I join a small group, though in I don't blend. They look up and smile. Will you be our friend? The end. So I really loved reading this book. The first time that I read it to my class this year, I actually started getting emotional. I hadn't read it beforehand, and I just was really touched by the story. I love how it gives representation to a gender fluid child without placing any labels on him. Because at the age of kindergarten and preschool, a child who may be LGBT may feel different inside, but they're not going to know or have a hard label of exactly what it is that they are. They don't know yet. And just like this little boy, they just know what they like and how they feel. And so this book is a really good way to show children that they can just express how they feel no matter what that is. It also shows the importance of having a supportive parent and role model. So that is why it's a great book to show to parents to model pro-social conversations. It can show parents who may be anxious, just like the dad in the story, the importance of supporting your child and how big of an impact that can have on their self-esteem and their self-expression. So even though the dad was very anxious and stressed about his child going to school in a dress, he chose to be the bigger person and be brave, and it really paid off for his son. It celebrates bravery and individuality as it shows not only the boy, but all of the other characters in the story, and how much happier they were when they were able to explore their true passion. So it doesn't just have to be about gender identity. It can be about expressing yourself in any way. And it normalizes different types of people and lifestyles. So by having books in your classroom that have characters that are unique and different, it normalizes that. So any child in my class who may be feeling like they want to express themselves that doesn't go with their gender role, this book may help them feel the confidence to do that. So I wanted to learn more about how and why to discuss gender identity with young children. So to do that, I found this article from the National Association for the Education of Young Learners. The article is called "Gender Identity and Expression in the Early Childhood Classroom: Influences on Development Within the Socio-Cultural Context." And the author, Jamie Sullivan, had a lot of really interesting and useful information. So first, she stated that gender is an element of identity that young children are working hard to understand. It is also a topic that early childhood teachers are not always sure how best to address. So children look to their teachers and to their parents and to people around them to understand how they're supposed to act. Children are also really fluid at this age, and it's completely normal for them to cross over gender roles or boundaries and to kind of go in between how they want to express themselves. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be queer when they grow up, but it is a totally natural part of that being that age. But sadly, a lot of teachers still feel really uncomfortable talking about gay people or talking about gay marriage or gay families, and they feel like it may be taboo or that they may get in trouble for bringing this up. And we really need to get away from that idea. Schools and teachers need to be comfortable talking about gay and LGBTQ people and giving examples, because a lot of their students are going to grow up to be that way. Without prominent, caring adults helping them consider perspectives that challenge the status quo, Children, left to their own devices, tend to develop notions that conform with stereotypes. So children need LGBTQ role models in their life because they look to us to see how to act. And from the majority of books and media and people that they're going to meet, they may only think that the only way to be is a straight and cisgender person. It's really important to be able to share books like this and art and examples of different types of family and people in your classroom in order to break away from those stereotypes. Because when children have other types of role models and examples, then they're able to model themselves after more different types of people. And so that is why without direct exposure to these topics, children are going to fall into those natural stereotypes like girls playing with princesses and wearing pink and boys wearing blue and playing with trucks. And you'll see that a lot in preschool classrooms. When a boy may want to come over and play with dolls, some of the girls will look at them and say, oh, this is a girl toy, because that's what they're taught in the media. The author also states, which was really interesting, that she found many examples of girls crossing traditional gender role boundaries, but only a few examples involving boys. Some researchers believe that this phenomenon is a common finding in gender studies, results from a male-dominated culture in which being male and having male characteristics is associated with power, opportunity, and prestige. So this is a common theme in our society. People have always looked down upon things that were traditionally made for women and seen them as less than and not valid. So you'll see artists that target towards young girls. Anything that is marketed and targeted and enjoyed by young girls is often looked down upon and criticized really, really harshly. Like you can see this in the way that people have made fun of boy bands, pink dolls. People don't value female things the same way that they value male things because we are a male-dominated society. So being male is associated with power, and that's why it's easier for girls to cross gender roles into masculine areas, and boys will be made fun of a lot more harshly if they want to cross those boundaries and express themselves with femininity, because people already look down upon feminine targeted things. And finally, in ways to model pro-social conversations and create a welcoming and inclusive classroom, a really important tool is symbolic curriculum. So this was described as the hidden or symbolic curriculum that is communicated through classroom materials and displays by portraying a wide variety of age, gender, ability, race, ethnic, religious, and social class diversity through the classroom environment. The message is given that all people are valued. So as a teacher or a parent, before you even begin bringing this up formally and introducing these topics to your students, you should have a lot of representation in your classroom that doesn't have to do with you. So the same way that you want to represent different religions and cultures and backgrounds, you want to represent different types of families and different ways that people can express themselves. So by having pictures of queer families or queer people and giving them role models through like classroom posters and books and art, it already, before you even broach the subject with your children, lets them know that this is a valid and celebrated way to be. So that is a really helpful tool for both teachers and parents. Having age-appropriate discussions is really important as well. Sex discussion requires the teacher or any adult to establish an age-appropriate way to answer any questions on the topic. This does not change just because the subject is LGBT. So that's why books like this are really helpful, because it is an age-appropriate way to talk about being gay with a young child. You don't need to get into anything that may be uncomfortable or may go above their head. You can save that for 5th grade, middle school, I don't know. But this just shows that he may not present himself the way that you think a boy should, and that that is okay, and that you should celebrate it. So this would be a really good tool to help parents who may be struggling on how to talk about this with their child. You don't need to just have a LGBT child to benefit from this. Any child, whether they identify as that or not, should see that this is a valid way to be, and learn how to accept all of their classmates for however they choose to express themselves. And finally, you can amplify LGBTQ voices. So for teachers or parents who may be uncomfortable talking about it themselves, this says that children can often help ease teachers' fears and also help their classmates better understand the issues that their families face. Zach, an 11-year-old, simply explained his membership in a gay-headed family by stating, "I am just a kid with parents. And I thought that was really sweet. So if you are a teacher who wants to bring this up with parents or families, maybe in a workshop or an event after school, and you don't know how to talk to